and that has to do with the RFA that came out about INBRE pilot investigations. So I'm going to share my PowerPoint here. Let me know when you guys can see the PowerPoint.
We can see it.
So INBRE, as you all know, sponsors neuroscience, cardiovascular, and cancer research themes. That's been the case going as far back as I can remember, and that remains the case. There is a new RFA out that involves some different types of mechanisms that you can apply for. So I wanted to do like a quick review of what those things are and try to make sure that people understand that what we want is for as many applications as possible, strong applications as possible in these areas. So the goals are for the pilot awards that we're trying to support research and educational activities. That educational activity is somewhat new here. There are multiple ways that you can apply, and we would like people to submit one or more applications to NIH or another funding agency at the end of their pilot. So that's the intent is at the end you will submit a larger grant. And there's a large number of ways and potential grant applications that can follow on to a pilot that we're now encouraging. They used to be primarily R01s, and we started shifting away from that a couple of years ago, and now we've fully shifted away. To be eligible to apply for an INBRE in Delaware, you have to hold a full-time tenure track or equivalent faculty appointment. So for the folks who are out in the network, not at UD or even really at Delaware State, that idea of what's equivalent faculty appointment can vary from campus to campus. But if you think you may be a candidate, you probably are, and just give us a call and we can work through that criterion. You have to be based at one of the 6 partner institutions for the Delaware INBRE, and their logos are there. And you have to be what's called an NIH new investigator, which means you have not yet had a substantial NIH grant, an R01 level grant before. So those are the folks who are eligible, and that's a pretty broad group. There's 3 mechanisms of support now. So these are research independence awards, research engagement awards, and collaborative research pipeline grants. The independence awards are what we would typically think of as pilot investigations going back. And at the end of those, we expect you to submit to obtain substantial research funding. Engagement awards, which can get you the same level of support in terms of financial support from INBRE, are to build competitiveness for the faculty. And those are primarily for people for the PUIs, the undergraduate institutions, or in the hospitals. And then there's collaborative pipeline grants that are meant to strengthen the pipeline for biomedical research in the state. Oops, wrong way. Okay. This table's from the RFA itself. So if you pull up the RFA, each of these potential, and these are just suggestions of what you might apply for at the end of your pilot, there's links. So when you click on, so if you're not sure what an NSF case is, you can click on it. It'll take you to that link and describing that program. So these are organized based on the kinds of grants you can apply for based on the pilot that you get, right? And again, the pilot is meant to get you to the point for applying for a larger grant. The independence awards, these are, typically we're looking for folks that are going for an R01, right? Sort of that step where they're just right that close to getting an R01 and they need pilot support to get it. But these other mechanisms are also in play and are available. And if you're interested in working towards one of those, I suggest talking to us. You can apply directly, but just talk to us beforehand. And that includes things like STTRs, or if you're going to be a target investigator on a planned COBRE, which is a P20 grant. So those are independence awards. Engagement awards are primarily targeting what are called the R15s. So these are research enhancement awards for undergraduate-focused institutions and research enhancement awards for health professional schools. So those are area and REAP awards. And that's primarily what the mechanism was designed for. The other grants that are listed underneath there are other examples of what you could use in the mechanism to go after. Our R34 is a clinical trial planning grant. The implication being is that you're pulling together, kind of engaging the clinicians and the team that you need to apply for a clinical trial at the end, right, of the R34. So these are stepping stones. The pilot would get you to the R34. The R34 gets you to the big clinical trial that you're proposing. And then the K awards are career development awards. And there's different kinds, including teacher awards and clinician scientist awards that you can apply for. If you're interested in any of these, again, any of these mechanisms, because this is all new, I suggest contacting us, and I'll give you there's an email address that you can use as you're pulling your grant together. The collaborative pipeline grant, at the end of those, and these are $25,000 maximum per grant, and these are really at the undergraduate institutions, and these are educational programs that include collaboration or what's called an authentic research experience. So they're around real research questions. At the end of those, you would apply for something like an R25 or an IUS grant. All right, so I hope that's exciting to people that there are lots of different ways that you can apply in mechanisms. There's multiple new mechanisms in the INBRE RFA. Submissions go to info@de-inbre.org. That is also a good contact if you have questions or you want information. The format, so you assemble a PDF with all the pieces, and all the pieces are listed in the RFA with a format that has your last name, first name, and then INBRE, and email it. It has to be then in our inbox by May 15th. The reviews will be completed and sent to me by mid-July or beginning of July, and then the research committee for INBRE will get together to discuss sort of like study sections to get a prioritized list of all those different types of grants. So the consideration will happen. It takes a little while for these grants to get processed all the way through, and after the scoring is done, if it looks like your proposal is even close to being considered for funding, we'll ask you for more information, just-in-time information. But the grants themselves are expected to start November 1st. And remember, these are the first two categories, the Independence and Engagement Awards, are meant to be 2 years. You can apply for less. The collaborative pipeline grants are depending on you, can be 1 year or based on the number of semesters that you need to include. But they would all start November 1. So if you're interested in applying, what you should do is download the request for applications and read through it. That's the link. Aaron can post these or share these. You can also go to the INBRE website and find the RFA, and there were announcements and emails that went out pretty broadly with that link in them. You should contact your Office of Sponsored Projects person early, just to make sure you, especially if you've not done a proposal like this before or applied for a pilot or an outside grant before in particular, to verify any internal deadlines and make sure that you know exactly how the process works so you can get started. And then let us know what you're planning to do, and if you have any questions. If, for example, you are applying for a research engagement award that's targeting something other than an R15, or if you would like to target something that's not in that table that I showed you, or the table that's in the RFA, let us know. Talk to us. We're trying to help you pull together the strongest application you can. Or if you have questions like, am I equivalent of faculty? Do I have to spend 50% of my time working on the pilot? Things like that. We can certainly answer those and help you out. So that's the Delaware INBRE RFA that's out. I hope everyone will consider applying, and will send on the information about the opportunities to anyone they think might be interested. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions about the INBRE RFA.